So hello and welcome to the Plant Medicine People channel. I have my fellow plant medicine integration coach friend, Lindsey Calliandra Rose here. Hi, Linz. Hello. We are talking about something that is so near and dear to you, like you put it in your name, and that is rose medicine. You know, some people know rose as that nice flower that you give to people to express love, especially on Valentine's Day. But all of us in the shamanic sort of plant medicine world know rose to be like a master teacher. Like she, in fact, we describe that she has her own lineage, that a lot of major prominent feminine figures and deities have been connected to over thousands and thousands of years. So can you share like the Cliff Notes quick version of a little bit of that lineage that Rose belongs to?
Yeah, so, I think the one thing that really kind of points to it is the fact that she grows all over the world. So she's kind of touched pretty much almost, you might even say every single spiritual or esoteric tradition in some way, even if it's not as kind of overt as it is in certain other ones. But obviously, she's been celebrated in Egypt, and she has a really deep connection with Mary and Mary Magdalene, which is something that a lot of people really connect to her through. I think it's one of the main entry points, I guess, into that for a lot of people is having that really deep connection to that. But for me, ironically, I kind of feel her connected to Callie. It was one of the ones that I've really kind of dove into with her, which kind of became a whole thing because she also brought in Mother Mary in another diet with her and that the two of them are really the same, that we think of them as, sort of this light goddess and this dark goddess, but Rose working with duality, they're both all, and it's all just divine feminine. And I think she just really has this essence that really connects to like goddess, divine feminine energy. Of course, amazing. And that's part of pretty much again so many different traditions and until you start getting into the patriarchy, of course, but that's a whole other thing. But prior to really basically the feminine being taken out of a lot of those roles, she's been very central in her essence of just being absolute divine feminineness, I guess. The pure essence of it.
So for those who aren't as familiar with the sort of shamanic path of a master plant dieta or diet, let's just kind of give a baseline overview of that and how Rose fits into that. So the language that that I use to describe a master plant diet is it is a marriage between a human spirit and a human spirit and a plant spirit. And sometimes female, sometimes male, sometimes non-binary. And that emergence is an opportunity for us to learn from the spirit, the medicine of the plant. Now, of course, in the shamanic traditions where this was birthed, rose isn't as prominent. Rose does exist in South America, just not so much in the concentration of the jungle. But I gotta believe, I don't know this scientifically, but I have a suspicion that as the practice of the master plant diet spread to other continents, rose was probably one of the first plants that stepped forward and said, I would like to be a part of that shamanic tradition because we have done initiations with Rose and mystery schools for centuries. And so this is just kind of another version of that, right? So you've dieted Rose how many times now?
Five, I
Yeah,
think.
I think I'm at three. Can you describe what the qualities, I know it's a generalized question, it's going to be different for everyone, but what are the kind of reasons why we would do a master plant dieta with Rose? What can you learn?
Well, I think one of the main things that people kind of initially at least are drawn to her is that she works with the heart and self-love, self-care, and all of those sorts of things. But that's kind of maybe what we call like the flower essence of her. But she's also got the thorns, and it's very easy to forget about those unless you reach for the flower and you get stuck by them. But I think that's again where that kind of like Mary and Callie side comes in, where like we see this beautiful flower and we think, oh, she's about beauty and love, and she absolutely is. But she's got a lot more going on than that, and the thorns also kind of bring in that whole thing around the boundaries and sometimes self-love is having that protection and taking care of yourself in that way. Um, and again, I think that really also harkens to the fact that she's really got this quality of kind of being the queen of duality and unity. You kind of have to be both if you're one or the other, for that to happen. And I think that kind of shows up in her essence in a lot of different ways. The balancing of like masculine and feminine qualities, and of the light and the dark feminine, and even the light and the dark within ourselves. And it's not just self-love, like, oh, I'm taking care of myself, but like, I love my shadow too. And I love my inner child, and I love my inner teenager, and all the parts that have grown from there. Um, and just really this like kind of deep self-acceptance and taking care of the body too. It's not just this whole esoteric aspect of her of like, oh, the spiritual elements that she has. It's also that she really wants you to embody that, that to really bring that essence in and bring that love into yourself and taking care of your body. Sometimes it's something as simple as food. I've had her just be like, what are you doing eating these things? And really like bring that into a space of like, oh, I need to really start looking at what I'm feeding myself or how I'm sleeping, or something simple like taking a bath. I had one of the best baths of my entire life on one of the diets with her, because you just sit and you're just like, oh my God, this is the most amazing feeling to just let my body soak in this water with her essence in it. So, um, yeah, there's just, she's so dynamic, is I think one of the things I love about her too. There's so many reasons that you could want to diet her.
Agreed. And the other thing that I love is she is at least for those of us that might have an assumption that because she's not psychotropic, it won't be that hard, won't be that difficult. Yeah, you're laughing. Two of the hardest diets I've ever done are with Rose. In fact, the second diet I did with her, I used the expression that she just kept mopping the floor with my tears. Like I was in such an intense process of dealing with grief, and processing some recent trauma, that I had to cancel days of work. Like it was just so, it was as strong as an ayahuasca ceremony ever could be. Like in that like confrontation of, you need to feel this, sweetheart. Like you, and she was not going to let up. And so for anyone who thinks, oh, dieting a non-psychotropic like plant won't be that big of a deal, Rose is often like, get over here, let me show you, because like her potency, her ancientness, her just the power of her medicine and her wisdom is just undeniable when you're in that portal.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's actually common. I've had it happen myself to get really sick on diets with her, where she's really clearing something out that's really deep within us, that sometimes you kind of get knocked out for a minute. I know I had actually the last time that I dieted her, I was really sick, and for a couple of days I had a really high fever. And once it broke and it kind of saw what was happening and had like a huge release, that was the one with Callie, too. But you can really, it again, I think because she brings the body into it, so it's like the places that we're holding things in our body, maybe where we don't feel well for a little while on a diet with her, because she's really working it out, not only spiritually and emotionally, but also in our actual physical vessel, and pulling it out on all levels, which is also a really incredible part about her, is that she really works in that way of just hitting you on all the different areas and levels that things are being held in. So, and even that, I mean, I even, so many plants we associate with like one or maybe two elements, and I think she's actually all of them, really. At different points, I've felt definitely, yeah, probably all of them. She really has this just holistic, again, I think it's that unity kind of quality that she's got. I definitely feel she can probably do almost anything.
We
Almost. Yeah.
we haven't met, well, yeah, maybe, yeah, almost. We haven't mentioned another element of her medicine, that sort of like aspect of truth. Like I've had pretty deep experiences of her helping me to, well, I wouldn't even say helping, insisting that I be in integrity with what I'm thinking or feeling. You know this story, my first Rose diet, 5 days in, I very unexpectedly broke up with my boyfriend. I had no plan to do it, but I was sitting at the dinner table and he said to me, I think you need a therapist instead of a boyfriend. And I heard Rose say, call his bluff. And so I said, okay, I'll get a therapist and we'll break up. And it was her owning what was true for me. And I never turned back. I did not rekindle that relationship because that was actually what my truth was. And I was just afraid to say it. But with Rose as a partner in that time period, it gave me the courage to be honest. And so, that should come with a disclaimer of this is a plant that has that strength to hold us accountable and to hold us in that place of like, you're going to be honest with yourself. Your body is going to tell you the truth of what you're carrying. Your emotions, you can't hide from them. So, as long as somebody is called to be in integrity with that, she's a fantastic ally, but not if you want to hide, not if you want to pretend those things don't exist, not the right medicine.
Well, and I think that's also connected to that same kind of self-love effect, but it's a way that people might not think that it's going to happen because you kind of have this idea in your head of what self-love is, but being really in your truth is self-love. Being completely honest about what you actually want and what your needs actually are is self-love. And sometimes it's going to come out in ways, I mean, people have massive shifts in their life with her because of things like that, because she will basically make you see the things that you're doing that are out of alignment with what's actually good for you and kind of push you until you break into actually making that action. So
That sounds like her.
yeah.
So, with all of that, as many of the possibilities of what it's like to connect with her, would you also look through the lens of like the collective consciousness of what we're going through in the world? I mean, this is 2025, April, though it feels like it has to be December, right? There's so much we're going through. Why do you think now is a really good time to lean on Rose as an ally?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons. I mean, first of all, just that bringing the divine feminine back in, because even when they talk about feminism, feminism isn't anti-male, it's inclusive. And that's what we're missing is this seeing everything as being connected and inclusive. And even the self-love, again, it's like that kind of spirals out in so many ways because loving ourselves also means loving the earth and the communities around us and taking care of each other the same way that we would want to take care of ourselves and building that kind of community. And if we're all, again, that unity piece that comes through with her, that we are really all a part of the same consciousness and essence of everything. So to take care of ourselves is to take care of each other too. And we're not really doing that right now. um, and I mean, her Kali swords are definitely useful right now too, for sure, for the things that need to be let go of and cut away, which is not always the most fun process, but sometimes things have to go for the truth that we were speaking of to come out too. So,
Might not be fun, but it's damn rewarding, And I really love the aspect of her thorns in terms of this question because her medicine reminds me that I don't have to let in all the bullshit of other people's projections and fears and all of that, that I can protect myself from that, come from the compassion that her flower essence represents, that heart connectedness, but not in a way that feels like I need to enable or take that on. So I love that balance of softness, the femininity, but the fierceness of the protection. And so, that's one thing I turned to her. I put some rose anointing oil on before doing this call with you. I figured, and I felt that from her, the fierceness that comes through, the Kali energy of like, I get to protect myself. And that's super important too, this kind of age of reclaiming our sovereignty that we're in. She can absolutely help with that.
right. Well, and at the same time, she's a nervine too. So everybody's nervous system could probably use a little bit of rose right now, if not a whole lot of rose right now, to really just balance our nervous systems and help regulate. I mean, balancing your hormones. She's so good for the body too. I mean, just as we were saying, she not only healing things in the body, but just is really nutritious and as well. Just vitamin C and just antioxidants and all sorts of stuff that's just good for your skin and your nervous system.
And she smells really yummy. And bonus, she actually tastes beautiful. Not all the plants we diet do. So yeah, thank you to Rose for making the whole experience like sweet and beautiful in that way. And I'll just emphasize anyone that's listening to this, like, yes, we're emphasizing that she's not easy, although I don't think there's such a thing as an easy master plant dieta, some more than others, but Rose can bring it. That said, Lindsey, would you agree that she's an accessible one for people who are new to diets? Would you advise that if somebody's never done a master plant diet before, that Rose would be okay to start with?
Yeah, I mean, I think because she is so dynamic and the plants meet us where we are. So if you're not in a space to go into a certain place, then she's gonna know where you're at and what you can handle. And she's also soft too. I mean, if what you need is softness, then she can also bring that. I mean, I've seen a couple of people have really, really sweet, gentle, like intensely gentle diets where they're almost like, I don't know if anything's happening because it's just like so sweet and I just feel so much love and softness. And I'm like, that's her too. That may not be what the person next to you is feeling from her, but that's her too. So if that's what you need is that really kind of mothering softness, then she's completely capable of that being your experience as well.
I like the reminder she meets us where we're at. And I would add the final thing that makes her really great for a first time dieter is that emphasis around the fact that she's so good for the body. And that there's a gentleness that she usually has with the body and all of the nervine support, the digestion support, that sort of thing. So yeah, she's just one of those that can meet us wherever we're at in the spectrum of our journey. And so I know she's a plant that you and I will be working with repeatedly our entire lives, and probably many, many other lifetimes to come, because there's so much that Rose has to offer. So we're doing a master plant diet this summer, June, right? You're launching it with
I
Rose, and we're going to put that
think
July, June, something this summer. Look at the link below. Like, we can't remember these things, but we'll put that information in the video description. And anybody that has questions or anything, reach out to Lindsey or myself at Plant Medicine People. We will never say no to the opportunity to talk about Rose and her magic with anyone. So thank you for sharing your magic and your wisdom, Lindsey. Much appreciated.
thank you for having me.
Until next time.